What's going on, everybody? It's your man, Hunter Grand, your personal agent for change, making life easy, Barzini.
And I'm fempreneur extraordinaire and tech diva all day, Dre Renee.
And this is the Crossroads, where there's only one rule.
Be free to be you.
Another week and didn't mess up.
Woo!
I'm not going to say that no more. How you feeling?
Happy New Year.
All of that. The first show of 2023, y'all. We made it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that thing where we do that thing where we it's like seems like every year we talk about how the previous year kicked our ass and this year is this is my year. Like
I can't even say that. I had a great year. I mean, there were some stumbling blocks and some trials, but overall, reading people's posts and kind of conversations that I had, I was like, ooh, I did pretty good. So I don't
right.
I would just be quiet and say,
right. I think just overall, when you think, I'm still blessed. I mean, there was some ups and downs. We deal with some things, but at the end of the day, I'm doing all right in life.
Doing all right.
Just trying to get to that next level. But this is also a big week for somebody.
Child. I don't want to say I forgot, but I almost forgot.
You was like, wait, what? For who?
Yeah, for who? Where? Somebody tell me.
Yeah, she have a whole birthday this week.
In a couple of days. 3 days, to be exact.
Oh, snap. That means I'm almost off the hook on the call then, if you don't remember.
No, I mean, it's all good at this
Hold up,
point.
I'll get yelled. So over the years, y'all, it's been the leniency has grown. We've gone on lives, but in our younger years,
and I've been traveling for a couple years too, so I'll be in a different.
Yeah, I'll never know where she is. Yeah, so the tradition is a 12 o'clock phone call on our birthdays. And so I've done that without fail until I forgot when I missed one. It was
like I was sitting by the phone, and then
it didn't happen.
Okay, And then last year was the first year I was married, so he was like, well, I think he was like the second.
Yeah, you can't really beat like someone who's there
right here.
So I concede the title. The hashtag boo on that one.
Yeah,
but nonetheless, it's still I'll give you your happy birthday on air early.
Thank you.
We 22 years strong.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, 22 years. We was young.
Yeah, and I realized that like the older we get, I'm just like I was looking myself in the mirror the other day, and not that I look like it or look like anything in particular, but I was just like, I still feel like I don't feel like 20 some odd years have passed. It's just like, what happened?
Yeah.
I remember each of them, right? Yeah. But it's like it's been 20 of them, 22 of them.
22. Just I don't know. I'm like, we had so much fun back then, though, but it was just like so much less responsibility.
That's exactly what it was.
And we thought life was
fancy free.
We thought life was hard, and I can't wait for this, and I can't wait for that. But y'all, it was.
Now I'd like to apologize to my parents.
But we was when I tell you, we was at all the parties.
Oh, we did it.
All of them.
We did
all of them.
We did that.
And I Greek life, college life back then, even though I wasn't all the way in college. I was living college life.
You were living college life.
I wasn't exactly enrolled like I was supposed to be. I mean, I was in and out. But no, just like going to like Margarita Jones, Leonardo's, Qtopia, all the J. Cruz parties, the Long Beach parties,
the Kappa House.
The Kappa House. You know what I'm saying? Like all of that stuff. We had a great time, great memories. So happy birthday to my best friend.
Thank you.
Don't look a day older than when she was wearing that hair bone straight. When I tell you, y'all, bone. Listen,
that pinky press. It was the pinky press, honey, because pinky was and she, whew, you could pour a bucket of water on my head and it was still just
listen. Because so the thing is, y'all will see Dre with a whole bunch of different styles, protective styles, this style, that style, but underneath it all, whatever she's doing, she got crop. It's like it's hella hair. And she used to wear it like down, like it used to always be down, and it was like down back. It was down, but it was
down,
never out of place, y'all. Never out of place.
Well,
my hair was never out of place either, but now it's RIP.
It's been replaced.
RIP. The situation under the fitted is a little bit different.
All good. It's all good.
We had a good run though. One day I'm gonna do the show without a cap.
Okay.
I don't know what that day is, but we'll see. It's my comfort blanket, like Linus. Yeah. Gotcha. But y'all, we want to get to the show, so let's pay these bills, y'all. So y'all, as usual, the Crossroads is brought to you by the House of 334.
It's the house.
For all your business branding and copyright needs, go to houseof334.com. It is Black owned, it is woman owned, it is Black woman owned, and it is amazing. The Crossroads is also brought to you by the Crossroads, y'all. You can go to our bit.ly for all of our links and everything that we're doing at bit.ly/the Crossroads. Our YouTube is there, our social media is there, our social media community is there, and also our donation link is there. We appreciate all the donations, big and small. This is a labor of love, but love ain't free. And if you think it is, go tell your landlord that you love them. So, and also, if you want to be a sponsor on the Crossroads podcast, email us at crossroadspodcast@gmail.com. Send us your information and we will get back to you with all the pertinent information to make you famous and put your brand and advertise your brand and test your brand,
all of that,
and give a review and all that other stuff. So we want to make sure that we're supporting businesses and everything else. So crossroadspodcast@gmail.com. Also, if you want to subscribe, which we know you do, y'all scroll down right now. We need those subscriptions. Scroll down right now, click the bell, subscribe. We want to thank all of our subscribers that have been supporting the show, both new and old. And this you the ones that make this go. And so also let us know what you want to hear about. You can send us an email. Let us know some topics that you want to hear, some of your thoughts. Make sure you leave it in the comments too. Things that we're talking about on the show. Let us know how you feel. Because that's what keeps it going. This show is for y'all. We have fun doing it, but this is definitely for you.
Mm-hmm.
So that being said,
well, before we move on, I know we just talked about subscribing, so we absolutely want to acknowledge those who have subscribed since our last live. And so that would be Ron Wilson, Tashina Moss, Carol Julian Matting III. I love it. And G Money. G Money. I have a little niece named G Money. So shout out to G Money.
Look at that support. Speaking of also G Money, New Jack City, the stage play is coming to my city. I'm thinking about going to check it out.
Oh, when is it? Do you know? Do you have the dates already?
I gotta get them.
Okay.
I saw it. It's always coming through my feed, and I keep meaning to stop and get it. But
I'd like to see it too. I know it's been in LA, but it was when I wasn't, so I missed it. So if it's a time where we could scoot on out to see it, we'll do a 2 for 1.
I wonder how that's gonna look because I think Alan Payne is the only original character from the movie that's still in this one.
Maybe he's like retelling the story to his grandchildren. Once upon a time.
Back when I was, but especially it's like you got like Flex, who's playing Pookie, and then I forgot who's playing Nino. I think Tretch is in it, but I don't know if Tretch is Nino or not.
Also, it's a bunch of
I heard where you was going with that.
Okay. It's a bunch of OGs. It's a bunch of
OGs, because that's what you was about to say. Listen, I need Flex to be good because I don't think we as a community have forgiven Flex for that Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. You was on for a minute, Flex, and then you did like you was playing a role. You had to know when you got out the makeup chair. Like,
But you know, Michael, come on now. Michael in his own progression made us all kind of cock our heads. So maybe that's what he was thinking, like, okay, I want to look as ridiculous as this really is in real life.
well, if that was the goal, he succeeded.
He succeeded.
But
Indeed.
and I wonder, you have some actors that think back on some of the work that they've done and like, why'd I do that or whatever. Because I think Denzel talked about virtuosity.
I don't think I saw that.
Yeah, you know, but that was him and Russell Crowe, and then they both went on to be Oscar winners.
Oh yeah. Oh,
You know,
well, cheers to them.
right. But I think they've all done some things that is like maybe they just needed to work. But look,
And we ain't mad at that. We ain't mad at that.
right.
We
So
ain't mad at that.
yeah, it is what it is. But I wanted to touch on this topic. Um and I hate to go from laughs to a downer, but I did want to acknowledge this story. Um Football player for the Buffalo Bills, Damar Hamlin, who is actually, in critical condition. He suffered cardiac arrest on the field. And it was crazy to see because it happened in front of the whole world. Like on Monday Night Football, you're playing this huge game. It's a game with huge playoff implications. It's the Bengals versus the Bills. And just on I don't want to say a regular play, but it wasn't like a massive hit. Right. It was. So we've
it's something that you've seen time and
right.
time
It was
again.
like a regular tackle, right? Regular impact. Now, a few weeks ago, we saw Tua Tagovailoa get thrown to the ground, and the back of his head hit the ground, and he had a concussion, but you saw his body freeze up, like the fingers, and that was like his second concussion. So that force was way greater than what you saw here. And so what happened was he absorbed the hit to his chest. So the receiver was running, and the receiver ran into him and made contact with his chest, and then Damar wrapped him up and then like took him down and made the tackle. No big deal when you actually see like the play. But after the play, when he was getting up, he took like maybe 2 steps backwards and then just collapsed. Right there on the field. And like the players around him like immediately knew something was like, because the way he didn't like fall forward. It's like he was out before he just went like a faint, like he fainted, and then he went like just straight back. So it wasn't like somebody is injured and they take a knee and then they lay down. Like, no, it was just like timber and he hit the ground. So they rushed out, they performed CPR right there on the field, brought the ambulance on the field, and then rushed into the hospital. And he's currently in critical condition, and he is not breathing on his own. In watching some of the the news stories and some of the doctors' takes on it, they said it was blunt force trauma to the chest, but they see about 30 of these injuries a year, they say, but usually what happens was they said it was about not just the impact, but you have to hit like right directly on the heart at the perfect moment for that to occur. Right, like the dysrhythmia or something like that, like through his heartbeat off, which caused the heart not to be able to pump blood to the brain, and no oxygen to the brain and everything else, and then he fell out. So what this one doctor was saying was that they hoped that they was able to shock his heart in enough time to get blood flowing to the brain soon enough for him to be able to come out of this. Because if it wasn't done soon enough, then he may not recover from it. So, yeah, it was crazy to see, and I wasn't watching the game when it happened.
Neither was I. I just got the social media.
Yeah, my timeline was going up. Timeline is just like boom, 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 and so then I went and I searched it, and then I saw the play, and I saw him collapse and everything else, and We just want to pray for he and his family. That can't be. I don't know if he had, family there. I'm sure family was watching from home.
Watching.
But to see
And
that,
teammates and even the other team and the
yeah,
person that was involved with the play is just like you can't imagine what's going on in the minds
yeah,
of those that were there. So we definitely want to send
yeah,
love and prayers to all involved.
right. And so,
Absolutely.
and just that, just the bigger picture, and not even the bigger picture because his life is on it. I'm sorry for that statement, but I know just connected to that are like the parents whose children play, other NFL players, like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of fear out there right now. Like, do people want to, these players want to take the field again, and are they going to play the same way? Like, this is how they feed their
Hmm.
families and stuff like that. And so, I can't even imagine what would be going through my mind.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
2 nephews that play football, and that kind of came up in my head. So I haven't spoken to my brother about it or my nephews of like how they feel. Do they feel safe?
Hmm.
That kind of thing. But your career can end in a split second. You know,
What's the guy's name? Ryan. He's a former football player. He's a commentator now.
Ryan Clark. Shout out
There
to the
you go.
news. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. He did an excellent statement. I did see a clip. I like him on the pivot anyway,
Hmm.
um, but he gave an excellent statement about this being his dream, right? Like there was like absolutely nowhere else, I'm sure, that he would have rather have been that night, and in an instant, that becoming a nightmare for him and his family and everyone involved. But it was a very kind, sensitive statement. We have seen some other statements that haven't been as sensitive, I think, uh, because it was a regular play, if you will. Like you said, I think, folks started to really get ahead of what happened in the moment and start thinking about, like, well, what does this mean for the playoffs? Or what does this mean for this and that? And it's just time and place. At the end of the day, this is a game.
Hmm.
I know it is it's a billion-dollar industry or probably multi, but the most important thing right now is humanity. It's somebody's life, and quality of life, right? Getting on the other side of this, but then the recovery and the mental and the emotional toil and all of that. Like, this is gonna have implications for a pretty long time. So.
Yeah, I'm sure. So, whew, I mean, there's so many different directions that conversation goes and stuff like that, and what it means for a lot of people. Um, be I guess below the importance of life is, there are livelihoods that are affected by everything else. Like if the game is not played or the playoffs and all that other stuff. So I do think about that kind of stuff. Not that it matters in comparison to his life. Um,
Yeah,
but
I mean,
yeah,
a lot of things can matter at the same time, but I
right,
think,
right.
the person in question, folks were kind of attacking because he didn't take that particular stance. It was just
Hmm.
like it seemed very insensitive, and so
You
people
talking
were,
about Skip Bayless?
yeah, mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so I read his statement and I didn't take issue with what he said. I think a lot of people were taking it out of context, because the tweet that I saw, he said like, I know people are asking this question, like the playoff
Mm-hmm.
implications and stuff like that. And then at the end, he said, but it all seems so irrelevant. Like he was saying none of that matters in comparison
Yeah.
to, you know, and I just think a lot of people, you have those people that want to be angry or find everything to nitpick at, to be angry about and cause a stir. I didn't take issue with what Skip said. And
Yeah, I think it's
there's
more about the fact that he is kind of the bad guy
yeah, he's a heel.
on a regular
Yeah,
basis, and
right.
so probably people did not read it in the most favorable light or read it completely.
Right,
Right.
but they also have to remember it's like WWE. Like Skip is a heel on purpose. Like that's to show he's the godfather of the debate format in sports television, right? Like he
Mm-hmm.
started it. First it was him and Stephen A, and now it's Shannon. So you can't have a good show where they're sitting there agreeing with each other on everything the whole show.
Right.
So
but I mean, even on Twitter, he's not on the show. He's tweeting.
Yeah, no,
so
but yeah. Well, it's all encompassing,
Right.
But so there's a lot of not Skip. I used to hate Skip. I'd be like, if you go back and read some of my old posts and I hate Skip, and and then when I realized what it was, I'm like, Skip is great TV. He's great for TV because that's just what he does. So he says a lot that I don't like. But in this instance, I didn't take issue with what he said. There are those that do, but it is what it is. So prayers out to the Hamlin family, prayers out to all of the players, the Buffalo Bills team and organization and everything else, and just hope that there's healing all around, especially for DeMar, that he recovers from this.
Absolutely.
All right. Whew. Kind of hard to bring it back up after that. But y'all, so today's show, we kind of wanted to continue the conversation from last week because there was so much to cover. The Best Man final chapters. Y'all, it's been going up and still going up. There's a lot of people that still haven't seen the show. There are people that have watched the show since we aired last week that couldn't tune in because they hadn't seen it yet, and so they've now seen it, and then kind of ready to unpack it. Those who are tuned in, but we covered a lot. Some stuff we'll kind of talk about again, and some new revelations from some of the episodes that we've rewatched. And I do encourage you, if you've seen it, when you have time, rewatch the episodes because they're details. There are details that you don't see the first time. You notice like there's serious foreshadowing. Like there's a lot of foreshadowing. But you also, because you know how it ends, this rewatching it allows you to see a lot of the buildup. And so your perspective is either going to change a little, nuance a little, or be reinforced, right?
Right.
And so I wonder how many people will watch it again with a bias, because I think we all have a bias. It's hard not to watch this and not have a bias to one character or another, right? So you have some that I would say like in a lot of ways, the relatability transcends gender, right? So there are women who relate to Harper, or Lance or something like that in some ways, and then you have men that's like that's Jordan or Shelby, God help us.
God help us.
But I will say Shelby was humanized more.
I like Shelby. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you got a chance. We got a chance to like Shelby a little bit more. So it was interesting to see, and Q for that matter. Yes. Watch it
Callie
again.
Bell says I plan to watch everything again, the movies as well. Yeah. Yeah, to see it all together. So last week, if you were not with us, or even if you were, but definitely for those who missed, we did a super deep dive on Robin and Harper's relationship and dynamic. So we won't do as much this week, but if you want to, give us your feedback and you want to, talk to the screen, if you will, then go back to part 1. Where we do a deep dive with that. But what I thought would be fun, we also asked each other what character that we identified with the most. So you'll see our answers there. We'll repeat them again, for those of you who might have missed it. But interested for those of you that are watching, especially if you were not here to comment last week, which character resonates with you the most, or reminds you of yourself, or maybe one that just kind of got under your skin or gave you the most emotion.
Who got under my skin? Damn it.
Yeah. Which one do you relate to the most? So last week, and I gave a full explanation, so go back and get that. I said that I related most to Jordan. Barzini tried to throw in a little dig, so you'll catch that as well.
It wasn't a dig.
But he was like, I was just trying to make sure you didn't miss that. So Yeah. So yes,
I,
I relate to her. We're not exactly the same. I think I have, done a little morphing and changing over the last few years, definitely in the last decade. And but I could see, a lot of those traits in her. And Barzini said he saw himself really in everyone. So he that wasn't really fair. He didn't pick one. He was like, "This
well,
one,
no,
this
okay,
one,
okay,
this one,
okay. I'll
this
say
one."
this: if I had to, but the reality is, in different points in my life, I related to some more than others, right? Or one,
Right.
like, so there's a period in my life where I was Murch, right? Not in the sense of being like docile, but in a relationship that I had no business being in,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and in a relationship with someone who very few people liked. you you know and then there was that I've been hurt and everything else like Lance, and have been indiscriminate in some escapades, let's say,
Yeah.
you know trying to cover what was really going on inside with facades or popularity, or this, that, and the other, um but if I had to, and then just Quentin, like, me, I say what needs to be said, and sometimes doesn't need to be said.
Mm-hmm.
you know but if you made me connect to one, it would be Harper.
Mm-hmm.
you know I think I've been Harper the majority, because there's so many moving pieces with him, um that were relatable and everything else. And even now, where I am in my life right now, I most relate to Harper.
Okay.
So yeah, so if I had to pick one, it would be Harper mostly.
Cool. All right. So I don't see any responses yet, but please feel free, even if you're watching this later, for comments. Let us know who you relate to the most. So, what do you want to do? You want to run down characters? You
Yeah,
want
let's we
to
can we can
go
do our
into.
we can do our character rundown.
Okay. So,
um
Harper, I love Harper, honestly. I know everybody thinks he's a bad guy. I have, and I do this in general, like have a soft spot for people who I feel like, okay, you might have messed up, but I don't think you're malicious, right? Like some people are just like they're just unaware, they're obtuse. Or they really did try their best and then they just didn't hit the mark. So I like him overall. I think I feel like Lance said, like he's a good guy, right? In general. So and I can relate to him in some areas as well. So
yeah,
yeah.
I would think, and I've said this before, I just think it's easy for people to find fault with Harper based on his past dealings,
Mm-hmm.
or mistakes, right? So it's like Harper is a damned if you do, damned if you don't type character, you know, even where he means well, um, and messes up, or that he wasn't wrong in what he did and everybody wants to blame him, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Oh,
oh,
somebody just wants to jump right into it.
listen,
JU
listen.
said Harper got a raw deal. How are you going to take? But this is what live is for. Thank you,
Right. Yeah.
Jay. How are you going to take my child from me because
Because
you
you want to.
want to
Right.
move? Now,
Right.
I think, and I'm sure there's always somebody, an outlier or a set of
Mhm.
outliers, but on this show, we are definitely here with that. Like
Yeah.
man and woman. We are like, no, that was an absolute no. That
Right.
was a no. That was a hell no. I was screaming to the TV. Oh, Jerry, hey. I was screaming. Oh yeah, and I know, because you're a daddy. Like he be with his kids.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I know it would be some smoke in the city.
Right.
But that was so awful to me because, well, for many reasons. I'm sure
Mm.
well, we talked about their dynamic already. Like she was trying to find herself, all of those things, but you don't use your child in
Mm-hmm.
that. right?
Yeah.
Like you wanted to move to Africa, you want to live in the Caribbean, you want to be free, go be free.
You want to be an activist.
Yeah,
You
don't
want to march and protest and
take that
demonstrate.
kid. Even, and we're talking about Ghana, which seems very extreme, and I think people were moved by that because it was just like, oh, this is out of the States even. But even if you lived in New York and you wanted to move to California, it's like, that's far.
Mm-hmm.
Like how is the parent who wants to be a parent, by the way, an active parent, an
Right.
involved parent, how are they supposed to do that? Now,
Mm-hmm.
I am a child of divorced parents, and for a long period of time, well, I won't say long, in terms of my childhood. So let's talk about the first 17 years, right? So for a period of time, my dad lived like 5 minutes away. And then he moved a little further, but little further was like 30 minutes away.
Mm-hmm.
So, he was still very close. However, he still was not there's a difference, with you
Mm-hmm.
not being there, but I could still call my dad, or I could still look forward to going to see him on his weekend. I don't know what that does or how it feels to be like, I'll see you at Christmas, and today is a couple of days from New Year's Day.
I know how it feels. Well, not as a parent, but as a kid.
Yeah, well, right. Well, we can't talk about the parent side.
I
Shout
mean,
out
we
to
can
that.
we can talk
We can
about
try.
it.
We can't
But
talk from the parent side. But
right,
we
but
talk about the parent side, yeah.
this is one of those cases where you don't have to bite the donut to know that it's sweet, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think what pissed me off about Robin even more than trying to take the child, one, again, like I said before, he didn't hear it from you, right? But it was when she bust up in Quentin's house, when Harper was staying there, going off and everything else, mad because
We'll come back to that. Go finish your thought. We'll come back to that.
No, actually, no. Let's read that because I'll
Let's
respond
go
to it
there.
because I think
Okay. So Robin took a stand, damn it. The wrong one, but a stand. Think about all she endured for the sake of Harper and love.
that
And
doesn't
before you go
excuse
in, I was just gonna say this still doesn't have anything to do with
with
Mia,
what she did. Yeah.
right? It's like there's your feelings as a woman, and I've heard Iyanla Vanzant get into this, right? Like you and your man is different from him being a dad, right? And so you having a problem with him, that's one thing, and something you have to resolve within yourself. But using the child as a pawn or not, I don't even think anybody just stopped. When I say anybody, Robin stopped to think about what was best for her. It was just like, this is what I have to do. Yes, because I've been run over in this relationship.
But and the thing is, she hasn't.
Okay, so, here we go.
No,
let's gear up.
Look,
saddle up.
Look, that watching it over, and I'm like, oh, boom, boom, yep, support. Like,
okay.
I'm still on what am I supporting? Right? It's like you keep Robin. Okay. So what I was still about to say was busted in the house and you mad that he filed for custody and didn't tell you when you did the same thing. Then it's like that statement could have stopped after the wrong one. Robin took a stand, damn it, the wrong one. It was the wrong one. Mm-hmm. Period. Like it was wrong. Like wrong is wrong. And you don't get to lean on what you quote unquote perceivably endured. Because what we also see and emotions, pride, and also her lack of communication, because this is what we know to be true, right? Now, I'm not going to invalidate anything, and it's first of all, let me acknowledge Sanaa Lathan did a great job, right? Because it's hard to not be upset without seeing her face, because it's almost like I
don't like her.
Like between this and Family That Praise. Like, so I have to remember she did so good. I have to remember she was playing a character. Like, this is not her, right? Not so her. This is not Sanaa.
Like Sanaa, we still love you, girl.
Right. So, but not to invalidate her feelings, whether right or wrong, right? Whether she was justified in how she felt or she was over, whatever. She felt what she felt, but she did not communicate what she felt, right? And so even when you go back to the house, everyone, Harper didn't force her to do that.
Oh
right?
no, we talked about that. No,
yeah, no, but no, a lot of people think, well, she left. Like, no, she went up snooping through his stuff, and then she told him, I want to, wherever this energy is, I want to be. Let's go get the house. She said that.
Absolutely. And this is women, and we do this, it just is what it is. Women rolling over for things that they don't want or don't want to be bothered with, and then at the end of the day, or once the smoke clears, then you're mad. It's vengeance. It becomes,
right. But is it even a big deal? Can we even say rolling over though?
Yes, it's rolling because she didn't want to do it, and he knew she didn't want to do it, and he left it alone. Right. But I mean, as far as we know, of course, we weren't.
We're as far as what we saw,
right? We're looking at snippets that this was something that he asked for. She, out the gate, was like, "This is not what I want." And then he asked again. He came up to her job. There was, this whole moment, and so I think, and I believe I said it before. I think she's thinking, the more I give, or if I give him something that he wants, then he will give me something that I want. Now, because you're going to ask, like, well, what is it? Again, she has not been very good with communicating. The one thing that, she expressed was getting that restaurant. Now, then I was really disappointed in him, because I was like, okay, she finally spelled out something that she wanted, along with going to Ghana for the summer. She spelled that out specifically. Or even when she wanted to move to Saint Pierre, and them try to figure it out as a family, she specifically said those things. And on each of those things, either Harper acted like he didn't hear it, or he did not.
Well, no, the Saint Pierre was like a little idea. She didn't say, "Hey,
I would like for us to do this together." Yeah, she did say that. Now, did they have any follow-up conversations about how to do it? I don't know, because of course.
Well, no. So he was like, no. So he was like, this was like great. Like, I loved everything except not becoming the best man. And he was like, I'm gonna miss it or whatever. And she was like, she said, or we could just stay. She then was like, oh, I want to stay. Like, it wasn't. It was like that one of the suggestion. And then he was like, she said it in a way that made him laugh, like, you crazy. And then he had to be like, wait, like, you serious? Like, he was like, the shack on the beach, that's you? And then she goes, I don't know. So
right.
She was never.
But I would like to explore that together as a family. That was a complete sentence. So again, it could have just been tossing it out there. But another thing that some folks do, I'm not putting it on men or women. I just think, like, if it's not something that jives with you, you will not explore it further. If my partner said that to me, I'd be like, what you mean? Like, we're going to have some more conversations, because if that is who you are, if that is what you want to do, I don't want you to resent me because we're doing something else. And so I think that was one of those moments, like, well, if I don't say anything, maybe this will go away. And as we saw, that didn't go away. And it turned into something completely different. So I don't want us to get stuck on this, on Harper and Robin for the whole, hour that we on, because they really could take their own, kind of situation. But if you guys want to continue talking about it, put it in the chat. But otherwise, we might need to move on. Let's read these next couple of comments. She lived in hope that he'd finally meet her halfway. Exactly. He didn't. After a decade of being submissive, she got tired. And meeting her halfway, meeting her somewhere. Exactly. It might have been more in her head, but I think all of this stemmed from the fact that she knew she was married to a man that didn't want her in the first place, or at least not as much.
I would say this. This is where she went and got her daughter's visa and behind his back. Yeah, that's cold. Yeah. This is where I will agree with Robin, right? Is the summer trip to Ghana is Harper, in my opinion, 100% wrong, because she gave that in way ahead of time. You agreed to it, and then when it came to it, you acted like you didn't know what was going on, right? Mm-hmm. Like, oh, when is that again? Like, bro, she told you. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't like that. You were encumbered in, I got to take off of work to go to kind of, like, no, you're able to do that now. up and moving to Saint Pierre or up and moving to Ghana and all that other stuff. Nah, I'm halfway, 3/4 with her on the restaurant, right? Um, I'm with her because no, he didn't take the same urgency that he did when it's something that he was trying to do for the. I say he was trying to do for the family. I'm going to give him the benefit that was the house wasn't just about him. That was us, which is why he's asking about it, right? He didn't just say, "Hey, we moving here and that's that." Like he didn't do that. You know what I mean? Or I bought this house, ta-da, surprise. You know, like she did with Ghana. So, but there was that part like, yeah, I'm apprehensive because you don't finish anything, you don't follow through. Now, here's where I can also lean with her on this too. Like she was already running a successful business, you know, or what seemed to be successful business with the meal prep service, right? So, the restaurant and the Ghana trip, okay, you won't get too much. You won't get any pushback from me on the Ghana trip, the summer trip with the family. The restaurant, okay, I'm more with her than him. But all that other stuff, nah. And so it's a lot, but that I don't want to go down the rabbit hole like you said, but there was a lot, and the central narrative is it's a lot of assuming that she didn't communicate. So you can't meet halfway on something that you're not communicating or telling me. It's like, hey, I'm meeting you halfway on this thing that you didn't say, you know. So going down the list, who we got next?
Oh, geez. I mean, I guess maybe we should talk about them in pairs. And so they don't get left out. Let's do Murch and Candace. Let's do Murch and Candace, who I love. I love because, you know, we got to actually see a functioning marriage with children, with some issues. The kids had issues, the parents had issues, but we saw them work through it. Like at every turn, I love to see them. Like there were a couple of conversations that they stopped, you know, to have along the way, even when it was really, really hard. Like I was hoping that they would, as we had the time lapse and they went on, you know, with their lives. So it started in 2015, the top chapter, if you will, all the way through 2024. But the base of the story was happening around 2021. And so, you know, to see her pursuing her doctorate after the trip to Saint Pierre, and then, you know, Murch having this awakening and so much frustration had been building up over the years, and finding this outlet in MMA fighting, which I, you know, initially I was like, this is ridiculous. He's going to get killed. But, you know, hey, he was out there doing his thing. But I wanted.
And also, I'm sorry, shout out to Harold Perrineau. Like, a lot of people didn't know him outside of the Murch character. And so, yeah, but so it's easy to see him in that real docile type role, but to see I really didn't watch Oz, but there was another movie called Felon that he played like the antagonist, and that was the first time I saw him outside of Murch. This is before Oz, and I was like, oh, you were he was in there on some like what mother.
Nah. I'll have to look it up. I did not. I didn't see that. So, you know, him expressing himself in that manner, and then Candace going on to be, you know, sexually assaulted by, you know, her mentor, someone she looked up to. I was just like, I mean, I literally was pleading with the TV, like, y'all talk to each other. But then even that having implications, because you can imagine you tell your husband something like that happened, and she didn't know he was an MMA fighter at that point. But I was thinking like, oh my God, he is going to kill this man. Yeah. So, okay. Tons of praise for Harold Perrineau. He was also in Sons of Anarchy, which explains it because I didn't watch that either. He is an exceptional actor. So we'll, right. Absolutely. So I guess we could just start right there with the whole, with that situation. So Candace is really desperate to get her dissertation done. She's had this opportunity to work with this world-renowned professor, researcher, whoever he is. And she got into his class. She's gotten him to be her advisor at this point, because her and her initial advisor were not getting along in terms of the topic that she had chosen. And then he chose her to actually be published, like to write an article. So she's like working, 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 and it's putting a strain on her household, you know. But Murch, he's doing what dads and husbands do, you know. He's taking the kids here and there. He's doing dinner and breakfast. He's, you know, whatever to support her dream. And then this outlet is in fighting, because and we got a chance to see you know, this white lady. Oh, child, the Karens, okay, the Karens, you know, cause a big scene and in front of his daughters. The police are involved, all over a taxi cab that she tried to hop in and steal from them. And so, just being a black man, because you know it's Murch, right? So we're already looking at him, or his character has been, as you said, docile. He's not aggressive, any of those things. So for her to just exacerbate the situation where he looked like an aggressor to the police, you know, to the point where everybody was just like, just let her have it, you know, type situation. And, you know, he was just standing his ground, like, this isn't right. Not, you know, he could have called her a bunch of stuff. He could have went, you know, to the left, but he didn't. And so that moment triggered, you know, all of these moments, I'm sure, that he has been quiet. We saw the montage, I guess he played in his mind when he saw the lady a couple of days or weeks later.
Different outcomes.
Yeah, like, I should really, you know, do some things. But he winds up with this outlet in fighting, and he's really good at it, you know. And so the two of them having these individual struggles, and Candace decides
Jay is on it tonight.
He is. He's having a good time. Candace decides to tell Murch, right? So she finds out he's fighting because how did she find out? Oh, the kids came in with a video, because you know everything.
Yeah. It was because one, they showed the scene when he was at school and his students had it was going around, and then the kids saw it and they showed her.
Yeah, and so she runs out to the fight, and just like all of us, like, oh my God, he's gonna get killed, but he ends up winning the fight. She's like, woo, that's my man, you know.
Right. She all kind of turned on.
Yeah. But yes, she ultimately tells him about the fact that you know, her advisor, one night she goes to work with him during his office hours, and you know, he like gropes her. I'm like, what? So yeah,
and I kind of saw that coming when he kept leaning over to read it, and then he go back and
right. And I felt bad, because I was like, I think I have mischaracterized.
And I was no, because I was actually talking to the TV. I was like, don't do it, dog. You don't do it, please don't. I was almost like, yeah. I'm like, yeah. And because the crazy part was, it was so bad because there was nothing there to kind of write in where she could have been given signals or said something that made him think it was like nothing in any of their interactions. Was she flirty? Was she suggestive? You know, and now there was an opportunity there, like maybe he knew about her past or something like that and thought that was like, this how she is. Think about that. You know what I'm saying? So like that would have kind of like thickened the plot to where just because I did this some years ago, you know, and that's how I met my husband, or it could have even been something like Murch slipped and told him,
right?
You know, because you know he couldn't keep no secrets. But I don't know. Regardless of how it happened, and I was just like, and so then the dude part of me, right, was like, you stood in this man's house and
which is
was on some bro code and all these like y'all was, and then like really, bro.
Yeah, took advantage of his wife like that, which
Right.
was the initial response, right? So Murch is, he's furious and he's that, yeah, like he stood right here. He was here in this house, and yeah, I felt so bad for her. But I was so glad that she didn't just carry that on the inside, and and that brings me back to what I said about them being, the couple. I know a lot of people probably, especially last movie, the Holiday, about Lance and Mia and this, fairy tale love story and wedding and marriage and kids. But I think, Murch and Candace represent, like, your everyday couple. They didn't have this. When you talk about how they met, the fact that their kids know that,
Yeah.
yeah, mommy used to be a stripper, like, oh, what's
Right.
a stripper, it's like that.
Right. But and she was a little bit too old to not know sex and strippers and stuff, but whatever.
Right.
But also was, yeah, I probably wouldn't
Total
listen to her.
disrespect.
Yeah.
That's why he should
Yeah.
have caught them in. Absolutely. But if you're thinking about, like, as I'm sure she was, like, your husband's well-being, you don't want, your family to be disrupted and your husband, catching charges and stuff over that. Though at the same time, it deserves that, so.
Yeah, and he's a lawyer, so he could have done way more. I don't know. It's a lot. But another thing that stands out is this is the man Harper wanted to be like, or like on that level. So
Right.
remember, if y'all recall the scene where Harper wants to be this intellectual writer, and literary influence. And he pulls out this picture. He's like, I want to be on a panel like them. And then there's this big, huge picture of Dr. Temple there. He this is a man that he respects. And then also alluded to when Candace was hiding Harper's books from him, and so that was another example of the separation between what Harper writes and what this man writes. But then the whole time, what I'm saying, it's like, oh, this is just words. You see what I'm saying?
Well, that's true. And we have an attorney here. So he wouldn't have pressed charges, because then he would have been exposed for what he did. That's actually a good point. He probably would have just had to take that on the chin, literally, and not say anything unless he wanted.
All right, that's on some 50 Cent right there. That's on some. You seen that clip when I forgot when someone said told 50, oh, if you hit me, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna like get someone else to hit me and like get all beat up so I can sue you. He was like, no, you not, because that same money that I would have to pay you, I'm gonna just pay some other cats to come out.
Yikes.
I was like, damn, like you've been through this scenario before, bro.
Right, like you know how to do this.
Right. I want to touch on Lance.
Yeah, I figured that was.
Yeah, I want to get on, and not so much. Okay, we know what Lance was going through, but Lance and LJ specifically.
Oh, child. Yeah, that's for you black men to come on in here and talk about, because that's really what it is. When I clocked it out the gate pretty much. I was like,
yeah, you saw that, especially.
I don't think. Well, not necessarily. The non-binary story, but I recognize immediately they don't want to be like you, right? This is not a carbon copy of dad. And so then I started to really pay attention, because I was like, are they hiding something?
As soon as she said you don't have to wear your school clothes, you can dress like you want, and he got excited. I knew exactly where this was going.
Yeah, but that I was talking about, even like from when they were
well, the fact that he was up there working with Jordan was an indicator to me.
Like, oh, okay,
because he kept having to come get him from there. I was like, yeah, that's not what he wants.
So for those of you who we see the mouth close, yeah, it was like, for us, I don't know. I mean, I have an opinion, but this is really a conversation, I think, for men, but definitely black men and fathers and sons to consider, or fathers and children. So LJ is Lance's I think it's the oldest child,
Oldest
period,
child,
right? And so Lance, world is spiraling, of course, with the loss of Mia, the whole family. And so he's hanging his hat on his namesake being just like him, being a football player
and he's good
at it. And however, LJ is also interning. Is it MSNBC? I think it's up at, or NBC Universal, excuse me, with Jordan. And so you start to see the various interactions, and wearing the school uniform to work, which is what Barzini was talking about, where Jordan said, you can wear whatever you want. And then we see, the outfit laid out. And ultimately, when LJ goes back to work, LJ has lashes and
makeup,
full face makeup, and something with a little flourish, heels, the whole nine. And so Jordan is like, her reaction was my reaction, because it wasn't as much like, oh, to you, it's about your dad. Like, I was like, oh, Lance is absolutely
he gonna lose,
gonna hit the ceiling. Yeah. So it was never about LJ as much as like, oh no.
But here is a question for you. If you say this is me and you, I have a son.
Oh Lord. Oh, me and you. Yeah.
Me and you. I have a son. Bars and Dre. Bars has a son.
Hey, little Bars.
Barzini Jr. is interning at House of 334. Right, and shows up to work looking fabulous in full makeup. Do you tell me?
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, but if I understood both ways, right?
Even if he's like, Auntie, please don't tell my dad. Please.
Okay. Ugh. Yeah, that's tough.
Like, I mean, because like he didn't. Wait, I don't remember. Did he ask Jordan not to say anything?
I believe she said, "Ask, does your dad know?"
Yeah,
I think that was the first conversation,
right?
So I don't remember, and I was about to say audience, but friends, roadies, road dogs. Let us know, because that detail's a little foggy for me. Yeah. If LJ asks Jordan not to say anything. I do understand, generally it's like you don't want to out somebody. So like, not gonna put it on the internet, but like, for a parent and child, this is not like two adults. This is like, you're still living under the roof. Anything could happen, unless, I guess if I felt like you would, be a danger to them, like you would like try to kill them, then no, I'm not saying anything.
I think it's about the position that you are juxtaposed to, the child. And so, or he wasn't even really a child. But so, like, for instance, in my work, right, we do have students who, are gay and lesbian. And a lot of times we know this before their parents do. Like, their parents are none the wiser. So they carry on their relationships at school, and do whatever, but they don't take it home because they can't tell their parents, right?
Right.
And so sometimes we'll have, and so me being in charge of discipline, I'll have incidents that occur based on these interactions and relationships, right? And so it's like, let's say they get in a fight or something like that, and they say, oh, well, who were they fighting, or why were they fighting, right? And you can't say, oh, well, he got in a fight with another boy because the boy was saying something about his boyfriend. Like, we can't out students to their parents, right? And
in that situation, I understand. And I just showed the comment. Janae says, I don't recall, but I wouldn't have told. That wasn't my story to tell. And I think someone said that, one of the characters actually said that in the series. I'm more with Jerry here. Like, it was out of, like, if y'all are all talking about it, why isn't anybody telling dad? Right. Or, and then especially the way it came out, child. Like,
and then you're in the position where literally everybody knows.
Every. Like, if you weren't going to tell anybody, I get it. Not my story to tell.
Even Murch knew.
Right? Not my story to tell. Not my story to tell. But this turned into not my story to tell the dad, because you told. Right. Because you definitely told. It so went around the whole. I think the only person, did Shelby know?
Yeah, she's the one that.
Okay, so everybody knew. Everybody knew, literally, except Lance. Or maybe was it? Well, Robin was never around. She was somewhere numb your whole reggae kill. So I don't know.
Mushrooms.
Yeah, I'm like, but yeah, that was what bothered me. So when you ask me, like, oh, would I tell you? I certainly wouldn't be, talking to Maisha and Slim and just picking out random people having conversations and you're in the dark. I love Kelly.
I know Bell's, Slim would tell me.
I'm sure he would as well.
If Slim don't tell me straight, he like, hey, bruh, go talk to your son. Go in your son, look through your son closet. What you talking about? Just go look through your son closet. That's all I'm gonna say, bro.
Go slide through a couple of hangers.
Or he was like,
I don't recall.
He's like, that boy can dress.
Kelly Bell says, I don't recall. I would have encouraged the conversation and offered support. And I think that's a good way to handle it. So taking it all the way back, this is my niece view as I think that's what Marlon Wayans called. Look, you got to figure out the titles and the pronouns and all of that. My niece view says, hey, Auntie, I'm having this issue with my dad, or I'm not able to talk to him about it. Then yes, there's an encouragement. Would you like me there with you for support? What would help you to be able to do that? And then you just got to work both sides. Like, I'm gonna have to have a conversation with you as well as, being there. But, that's uncharted territory for me. So I don't know, but hope, I would do the very best that I could. Janae says, but the way Lance responded is exactly why I wouldn't have told him, not without a plan to ease it on him. Yeah, I think they all knew you can't just say it, because even when it was, I was more upset at the way it came out. So for him not knowing that everybody knows this at this point, now everybody knows, kind of situation. We're here at a party and Shelby fumbles through a post that her daughter Kennedy put up. She said, I have a Finsta. I thought that was cute, right? Checking up on the kids. And then it's like, I can't see, like, what's going on here? And I'm like, y'all not that old. Your eyes are not that bad. But I guess they needed a storyline.
If I take these glasses off right now, I will not be able to see your face. So,
okay. Well, that's exactly what happened. But both of them couldn't see. Put it up on the TV. Mm-hmm. They put it up on the TV, and the reel, I guess, or the video is of LJ and Kennedy, right? Voguing fashion. Yeah, they was getting it. And so Lance walks in on that. And so, yeah, at that moment, you're blindsided by news that you would rather not have, and in front of everyone, and emotions. Mm-hmm. And so, he did what we expected him to do, which was, take that off your face. What's that on your face? Trying to take all the clothes. You are my son, really disregarding their pronouns and, the fact that they identify as non-binary, which, okay, let's also say a lot of these terms are new to our parents and our, like they would. It's not funny, but it was fun. They had to put some humor into it. As the news was making it down the friend trail, somebody was like, what is non-binding? Yeah. Oh, it's cute. He was like, LJ is non-binding. And so, there was this learning that had to occur even in the friend circle, because Q, I think, in my opinion, would have acted more like Lance if it was his son. But because it wasn't, yeah, he had an opportunity, to kind of shift. Because that his initial reaction was, a lot like I'm sure Lance's would have been. But we got to see each of the characters take the information, and everybody rallied around LJ. That was the thing. It was just like, at this moment in time, this is,
So here's the crossroads, right? Pun intended. And I don't want to segue too far into another topic, but Lance was raised as a devout Christian, right? Not that he always acted in that.
I was gonna say, well,
but like when we go back to the first movie, like that was the big theme, And so,
oh child, why do the Christians, and I'm, I'm the Christian. Why is that the only sexual sin that folks want to take?
Well, because they talk about, the abomination and stuff like that. I get it. But what I mean is that where I'm going is that you really don't see other people of other faiths, especially when they're devout, and ask them to compromise their belief. Right? So when people aren't doing pronouns or they don't believe this and this is because of their spiritual belief, it's always like, oh, well, you're wrong. You're disrespecting them. But if this were a devout Muslim, and they stand on like, I'm not like, nope. You would be, oh, well, they're Muslim, so they don't believe that. I think there's a lot more.
I'm sorry. Let me make sure I understand what you're saying. You're saying if a devout Christian does not want to recognize pronouns, they are wrong, or they are looked at as wrong. But if a devout Muslim did not recognize pronouns, they would not be wrong.
There's less scrutiny, I'm saying, because they're devout. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I don't know one way or the other.
You don't really get to be a devout Christian, right? It's like you're being.
So, yes,
and I'm not defending either side. I'm just
saying, I know. I'm just the way that I see it. I feel like, oh God, but it is the truth. I feel like we compromise ourselves. Like in your everyday walk, right? Like, and the one thing that I really can't get with other religions about, and especially I'll just use Islam since we're right here, right? It's daily prayer and multiple times a day. Like they are on it. And
but you can go, but they're not. There's a lot that don't.
And in all religions, I'm just saying what we see for the most part, you see folks moving in this particular direction to back up their faith and what it is that they're talking about. And by and large, and it might just be, really an open attack on Christians to expose these things, but you see folks being more lenient. It's just like, I honestly, how you want to be identified doesn't have anything to do with my relationship with Christ. So if you say I want to be referred to as she, her, or them, they, that doesn't take anything from me to do that. But and it doesn't deny my relationship.
Right, but you
with
have
Christ.
some that's I mean, I feel you, but then you have those that's like, oh, that's not what God created you to be, this, blah 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 blah, and you're just, like,
I
the
get
whole
that
argument, but also,
but that's judge and jury, and I feel like,
but is it?
Or just judge.
But
yes,
is it?
This is what God has ordained. This is what He tells us to do. After I have expressed that, I've done what I've been commanded to do. If I'm to share, but I'm just gonna ride your back about it.
Well, no, not even that. Let's just say, like, okay, like if He says, I'm not calling you they, because that. So I think the crux of it, and this is where I'm not gonna say I struggle, but I always say this: only one of you have a belief and I have a belief, only one of our beliefs get to win, right? Between the two of us. And it's like, you don't want to compromise your belief and I don't want to compromise mine, but we think that being devout in our stance for our belief is a disrespect to the other, right? So for me, in my personal life, I make it real easy, and I just call people proper nouns. Like I don't, I don't even go through, so people are none the wiser. So
Yeah,
if
I
you wanted to
I
go,
have friends of other faiths who, might send me greetings, may Allah bless you or this, that, and the third. I'm not upset about it. Like I'm just
right,
like,
but that
okay,
also
I'm
that
not gonna write back and say, now I don't like
yeah, but
I just
that doesn't challenge your faith either, or you're not compromising your faith when someone's saying like
so it's
acknowledging
but
your.
that's so
But when you're
that's what I'm trying to get to. Like me using a different pronoun to me is not compromising my
but to
I
others,
don't believe
yeah,
it's compromising my
I
faith.
get it, and I've heard that too, and that's fine. But to others, it's saying you're forcing me to participate in something that I don't believe in. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Like by
Yeah.
calling you they this,
And there are people who don't do it. They are like, I will not, I
right.
shall
But
not.
so what I'm saying, when they do that, when someone, let's just say this person is a
Mm-hmm.
devout Christian, no one's perfect, of course, but like, hey, let's say they're walking the walk as best they can, blah 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 blah, and
Mm-hmm.
they're deciding I'm not participating in this. We'll tell them that they're wrong for it, right?
Oh yeah.
And so I had given someone an example because we were having the discussion about like the pronouns and stuff like that. And I said, okay, so then what if I go and I tell someone that they have to call me God because I identify as a deity then? And they don't because it's contrary to their spiritual belief. You're not God. Like you don't, that's against your spirit. And then so you don't call me God because it's against your spiritual belief.
Mm-hmm.
Then why ask someone else like, hey, if it's against their spiritual belief, then why do they have to participate? Now, I would say, I'm not taking a stance either way, but I will say, like, as long as you're not impeding someone's right to believe and to be who they are, cool. Now, someone not calling you a pronoun is not stopping you from being what you are either. You see what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And so it's like, I'm not saying you can't be this or blah, 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 and I don't love you the same. I'm just saying I'm not participating. Like I'll call you your name. Let's take like Dwayne Wade's son, right? Or daughter. Whichever, right? Um, went from what Zion to Zaya. I'm not doing the son, daughter, whatever. Your name is Zaya. Zaya. It's your
But you
proper name.
just said you do have to take a stance because when you introduced it was son and it was like, oh, daughter. Like
Because
there's no way to skirt that. There at some point in time, we're referring
I'm
to
saying, I would
someone
say
unless
son,
you
daughter, whatever that the audience is calling
right.
them,
But I'm just
right?
saying you didn't say Dwayne Wade Zaya,
I
right? Because
didn't.
that would be the proper noun, right? We're using the description of.
Well,
So
that was the gender, and so, but
okay, here we go.
yeah.
I have one.
Mhm.
And this has nothing to do with religion or anything. At a point in time, you decided to adopt a moniker. It was stylized a particular way, and nobody. Well, I won't say nobody. Some of us knew your your birth name, but um if someone refused to, and I should probably ask this, to refuse to call you Barzini, but instead, called you Jason, especially like somebody that didn't really know you. Let's just say
Mhm.
they got your name through the grapevine and
Mhm.
they were calling you Jason. How did that make you? Did that make you feel any kind of particular? I mean, I know that's your
No,
name, but did
yeah,
it make
no,
you
it
feel?
didn't. It made me laugh more than anything because they thought they were being unique. It's like,
Mhm.
oh, everybody call you Barzini, I'm calling you Jason, and so many people did that same thing and said that same thing. It's like it's actually my name. You're not offending me by calling me what my daddy named me. You
Right.
know, um, yeah, it wasn't. Now, I would say the only thing that I don't allow people to call me is by my middle name.
Okay.
But that's based on relationship. That's not based on like, but like, you don't get to call me that. You don't know me like that. You don't get to call me exclusive nicknames like, that like a family member or a special, like certain people have certain names for me that only they get to call me because that's the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, I didn't feel any kind of way when they did that, but I do get the point that you're making. But I think it's just everybody has different beliefs, right? And we get to this place where we feel there's only one way of thinking, and there's no middle ground. So for me, the middle ground is proper noun, right? Like, but there would be some, I ain't calling you Zaya, your name's Zion. His parents,
right.
like so, but the thing is, if he legally changed his name to another male's name, then what are you going to do? Would you have that same stance, like, oh, your name ain't Rick, it's Zion? You wouldn't do that, right?
No.
But then you have unisex names: Kelly, Terry, Michael, Michelle. You know, not too many male Michelles, but there are some out there, right?
There are some, yeah.
So would we look like if someone said, I'm changing my name from Michael to Michael, right? I'm changing it from the boy Michael to the girl Michael, right? And you got to say it with a certain inflection. I don't know. It's like, no, it's not Michael. That's Michael. Like, wait, what?
Well, point.
I'm going
the
off.
The point is here at the crossroads. So your opinion, your opinions, your beliefs, they're valid to you. But you understand that, you know, we live in relation to other people. And so that's where, you know, it gets tricky, because taking that stance, maybe for a regular person like you and me might not be a big deal, but we've seen people lose their livelihood over things like that. Absolutely. And you know, just, you know, being careful is really and not necessarily careful, mindful, I think is the word that I want to use, of others. You know, it may not seem like a big deal to you, but you know, if it affects and impacts somebody in a negative way, you know, you kind of have to ask yourself, like, is this a big deal? That's how I do. I'm just like, it's not a big deal to me. I have to slow down sometimes because, you know, it's not natural and it's not something that I have to incorporate into my daily speak. But I'm not against it. I think Jason, which is BS. You know, hey, I get it. And I think you're talking about, because you're about 10 seconds behind us. But I think what you're referring to as BS is the fact that you can get canceled or your livelihood can be affected by your. And
I also hate, I hate the projection, right? So I worked with someone that was, I forgot. I think they changed their pronoun now, whatever. I can't remember which one she was. But another.
So when you don't know, then I think they're automatically that's a question. I don't know.
I call what I see. Okay. I'm sorry. Like I call what I see. Especially like if I don't know, I can't assume. And I hate when people get mad. It's like I'm supposed to know that. Which one? Are you plural? What? I
don't know. That's why I was asking if if anyone knows like what the proper way to do it. I think when you don't know, then
listen, what bathroom do you use?
But also, like then you have folks looking at you crazy, like, what do you? Do I look like a them that, you know? So
yeah,
I don't know.
I don't play that game. Lose. But no, she got mad at another staff member because she referred to a student as she, or like, are you projecting gender? It was like, wait, what? Like, it's a girl. She's a girl. She's going to the girls' bathroom. Like, girls line up here. Oh, well, we're not playing that game, right? We're not trying to figure it out. Girls line up here, boys line up here, right? We going by what's on your card in the office and what bathroom that you use. So it was another one. Like, if you believe what you want to believe, whatever pronouns you're using, what you're calling people, cool. But when you start attacking other people to make them behave like you, I do have a problem with that, right? Because there was another one. We used to call it the pronoun police.
Oh wow!
Right?
But it's in the world. It's not.
But it is. But it wasn't. But she did it. This person did it. It wasn't even referring to somebody that identified that way, right? So she's talking to another staff member about her son. And so she was saying like, oh, I hope he grows up to, you know, and such a wife. And she's like, are you projecting sexuality on him, like straight or gay or whatever?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, there are those types.
And so she was like, absolutely. As a matter of fact, I'm speaking it over him. like that's her. First of all, that's her child.
Yeah.
Like don't do that.
You don't
That's
even need to have that
you off
conversation.
limits right there, you
Yeah.
know. But Lance, because
Yeah.
you know, I do think like I get the emotion. I get it because like as a man, um, and this is why it's hard for a lot of gay men to come out, specifically to their fathers. Is you look at your son and want to see you.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Um, and when he's not you, um, it's you know, I can imagine it can be heartbreaking. It can be, you know, a whole lot of things because before children are born, parents often have this
You have a
idea of
dream. Yeah.
what they're gonna be, and oh, they're gonna go to the best schools, and they're gonna be a lawyer, and da 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 da, like all this other stuff, right? And more often than not, they don't turn out to be what the parent planned for them. But you don't ever think that you know they're going to be gay or non-binary or whatever, you know, and especially your sons, right? I think
Mm-hmm.
it's more tolerated, not totally when it's girls, like because they think, oh, girls are experimenting, they go through a phase, or girls like, you know, you have some that's like, oh, like nah, you know, but I think you do see it more with men, not just with sons, but with their daughters too. It's like, nah, you're this is what you gonna be. Because
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe a lot of men think it's a reflection on them, like
Parents, I believe
you
that.
know, yeah,
I was
you
having a
know,
conversation with somebody about that. Like yeah, even as adults,
mhm,
sometimes, I think, parents are still looking at their children and their choices as a reflection on something they did or didn't do or who they
mhm,
are.
yeah,
Mhm.
and I wonder like sometimes, and so the thing is when kids are out there acting up though, when they doing wrong, oh, they ain't got no home training, but they're still making choices. So which is it?
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying? Is it a reflection on them, or you know, you represent me when you go out there, you blah blah blah
Yeah.
blah blah. So if we're saying that and we accept that when it comes to behavior, then why do we not say that when it comes to sexuality? But then it goes into the belief that sexuality is not a choice, which is a whole different show. um so I don't know, there's just a lot of nuances, there's a lot of lines that get blurred and stuff like that. I'm not a fan of forcing your beliefs on someone else on either side, right? Like if you're hetero, like forcing a hetero lifestyle on someone who isn't or who doesn't feel that way, like what can you do?
Yeah.
They're just not going to. So but also vice versa. And if it were me, and I'm speaking as not being a parent, if I didn't agree with it, if I felt like Lance, I'm like, look, you're my child. I don't agree with this. I don't participate it, but you are still my child. You are still welcome in my home. You're, like I'm not getting rid of you. I'm not disowning you. I'm just saying I don't agree with it. Right.
Mhm.
Um, and I think he had to do that anyway when he thought he lost his child, you
Yeah.
know. And so there's a lot. And I think as you grow and you experience certain things, mindsets change. I know my mindset changed a lot I worked when I was teaching somewhere, and it was a high gay population, right? And so I had evolved from my spiritual belief of no one is born gay, right? Or no one is da 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 da. And then that changed. And so you come to a certain level of understanding though, like as a Christian, some of the things that we're seeing or experiencing they're actually biblical, more biblical than right? um and understanding we do not exist in the way that God originally planned.
Right.
So, and that's speaking to somebody being able to be born gay. I do believe you can be born gay now, you know what I mean? um and so there's still conversations that I have, and I welcome the conversations, with my gay friends, and everything else. And so, like, you don't know what you don't know, and when you have those conversations, you're like, okay, you understand this, you understand that, and there's far more compromise, um, tolerance, and everything else when you have understanding, and I think that's what's lacking on both sides. is hearing each other and having understanding. And so with Lance and LJ, there was a lack of understanding. There was a lack of conversation because Lance wasn't trying to hear it.
Right.
So, and I think you can choose in the world like who you deal with and who you interact with. And if you decide that I'm not interacting with someone from the LGBT community or whatever, you have that choice. Although you don't, not as much of a choice as you think, because you don't know who's who a lot of times. But when it's your blood, when it's your child, I think that offers a perspective that somebody else who's not in that position would ever be able to get. Like, and you don't choose, like, especially that age, you don't get to choose for them. You can try to guide them and make them whatever, but you don't get to choose for them. And so that's a level of acceptance that you're either going to accept or not. And that's really, at that point, that's the only thing that you get to choose.
Yeah. Well, I like ultimately that Lance chose love for his child. That at the end of the day, what you believe or don't believe, trying to, I don't know, I think supporting someone or just continuing your relationship with them, whatever that was, father, child, friend to friend, whatever, that is mistaken for, I agree. I take this lifestyle on as my, it's just like, no, that is still your choice. I love you. This, like, nothing changes as a result. I don't have, well, what do you think about that? I don't. It's just like if I didn't know, or just like if you were heterosexual instead of homosexual, or just like if you were him and not a her, like, it doesn't matter to me. It's just like, it's what.
Are you saying in general or your child?
In general, I'm just like, in those relationships, it doesn't change who the person is.
True.
Now, it may change how you navigate, your relationship, particularly one of parent-child, because, depending on how the parent thinks and or operates, they're in charge for at least, the first 18 years, give or take, of that child's life. And so,
does that give you, okay, like, you bring a life into this world, but do you get to tell them who to be? That's the thing.
Yeah, you get to. What do you mean? Did somebody not tell us? If you can't, I want my first 18
no, I'm
years
saying,
back.
yeah, no, I'm saying we were, I don't mean, like, I'm okay, like the ability to, of course, that happened. But what I mean is, like, you are who you are. Like, you bring a child into this world, you don't get to pick who they become, which is why we
Oh, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you create the environment, like, unless the kid emancipates themselves, it's like, this is the house you live in.
Right.
Yeah. These are the beliefs and the ideals. And so I'm saying if the parent is evolved in their mindset, or they are open, they are educated in all of these terms, and they are just wild accepting, then you have a different experience than somebody like LJ, growing up in that particular environment. So that's what I was just trying to strike a difference. Yeah. Like, one person may be able to be free, and we saw that, right? So LJ's friend, I don't remember the name.
Yeah, but they annoyed the hell out of me, though.
They was giving it to Lance, like,
listen, Lance. If I was,
you're not gonna use the right pronouns.
Nah, so because here's where this is why I was annoyed. This ain't the damn time. My child is missing.
Right.
My child is missing.
The friend absolutely was playing. Like,
playing games right now. Yeah, I'm sorry.
But also knew that LJ was okay. So I think that.
But also the parent is sitting there worried. I don't know if my child is dead or alive, and you playing word games with me right now.
Right. But just devil's advocate, right? Friend feels like you drove LJ to this point. Now you're only feeling a way because you think that LJ is in danger, but LJ wouldn't have been in danger if you wouldn't have been this way. So friend, not saying friend is right, but friend is wielding the big stick at this point. Like, well, listen, hey, you were acting, and
friend would have got snatched up real quick. Like,
Well, then you would have been fighting with his parents and with the parents and
whatever.
all
I could have whooped all the parents were sitting there old as hell. Everybody would have got there. Like, I'm looking for my child, and everybody can get
yeah.
these hands. If you know
Yeah.
something,
Well, in
like,
real life, it definitely would not have gone that way,
right, but all that little
but
snarky,
being
nah.
able to see the difference between, a child growing up in an environment where, it's like, I don't have to hide. I can tell, my parents.
Okay, cool. But
Whatever
you're
I'm
gonna have to
feeling.
hide from me if you keep on how you keeping on and don't tell me where my damn child is.
Oh no, not in relation to that. I'm just saying
I know what you're
LJ
talking about. Yeah.
and friends. So ultimately the family unit prevailed. But I just think I have, when I say accepted, I'm just more so in a space of love. Like the more that I study and the more that I continue my own relationship with Christ. It's just like God is love. Jesus, like that is the representation for me. Jesus walked with, some pretty bad people. And, there wasn't this debate about, am I going to hang with these folks or not? Or yes, I'm going to tell you what is right. But I love you anyway. I'm not going to treat you any differently. I'm not going to cast you aside. Like that's the model. So as much as I can, because I'm not perfect. There's some days I'm like, I don't like none of you. Okay. And sexuality don't have nothing to do with it. Like you just on my nerves. Right. But that is the model as much as we can, instead of let me tell you why this is wrong. Like that's everybody's stance first. Like, let me get on you about why you're not, and not just about sexuality, just period. Let me tell you why your life is not what it's supposed to be. Let me prescribe this. Let me diagnose this. It's just like, just love people where they are.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Just love people where they are.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. But me and same energy, it's kind of like, hey, you know what I mean? Does that love go both ways? Love me, where they are in relation to whatever they believe. So it can be,
But I mean, when I believe versus like, I mean, I guess it's still a belief, but it's like who you believe yourself to be or who you feel you are, to me is different from who you believe in. And maybe I'm not explaining it well, but I'm just like, me being a Black woman that identifies as Christian, American or whatever, like that is how I identify. That's who I am.
Mm-hmm.
That does not take like for you to treat me or be involved with me in that way should not take you out of whatever your sphere of belief is. I don't know. Maybe I'm just wrong about that. So anyway, we did a deep dive on them, and I know we talked a little bit about Shelby and Q in the first part last week, but I don't know. Is there anything else that you want to talk about, or those of you in the comments, give us some questions?
Yes. I think we said in the last one, I really enjoyed the deeper dive into Shelby and Q. We got to see more of them. We got to see a different side of them instead of just like the little snarky little diva shrew that was Shelby. And that veil of the hiding behind the veil of her popularity, and all this other stuff. And then Q, the cool and calm, collected, always gotta, like we got to see them vulnerable. We got to see them love, right? Because neither one of them knew how to love in the movies and all this other stuff, right? And then we see the side like where they met each other for the first time on the beach, when there was like,
all right. Get to it.
So you want to answer that first? Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think I did, or I asked the same kind of question last week. Do you feel Shelby was out of pocket for crashing the wedding? Yes. So my question last week was more on the flip side, right? We were talking about Dwayne Wayne and Whitley, right? It was like, okay, on TV, right? A TV show, a movie, these kinds of things are cute, especially if you're rooting for, the protagonist. But in real life, if somebody showed up to your wedding that was paid for and was like, you could have loved me before that day. Like you need to do that before. And I'm sure I would have told you where to go. But that day, oh, absolutely not. Now it only worked because it works, right? And this was the story, but in real life, that's a no. Sis would have got hella tackled.
Right. So here's the question though.
Okay, I'm sorry. Before we move on, just want to acknowledge this. From the previous, right? It really isn't though, because who and what people believe in is essentially the core of their being and how they understand the human experience. So, are you saying they're linked together, and there's no differential? Because I was just saying, like, who you believe in and who you believe yourself to be. I don't know. It might be incongruent because there are a lot of Christians, right? There are a lot of people who may be trans or bi or gay or lesbian that still identify as Christian, even understanding what the principles are. So I don't know if they're always one and the same. Yeah. But go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So there's that. In the literal sense, that was wrong. These couples about to get married and everything else. And then there's that part of, I'm going to put myself out there to go get my person at the sake of embarrassment, at the sake
whatever of risk.
Like, this is the cost. Like, and then it speaks to like all the relationship conversations that we've had and everything else. And we always say, especially like a lot of men now, in these conversations, it's the lack of effort on women's part that we loathe, right? It's, oh, you want this, you want this, you want this, and you're not willing to do. So like, it would have been, I should have went.
Sorry.
Yeah, they waited too late to put her out, but she didn't really want to go.
Yeah, because it was like, you might as well let her stay.
Right. So men are always talking about like women don't want to put forth no effort. I know I've said it like ad nauseum, right? Like, y'all want this, and the men are supposed to give. Now, if that scene was Q crashing the wedding, or no, one of the most iconic scenes in cinematic history, different world, Dwayne Wayne, right? Baby, please. And everyone's like, oh my God, oh, and everybody just loved it. But then when it's a woman doing it to go get her man, she out of pocket. She just, you know what I mean? And I doubt she feels the same way because she got her man. And had she not, Q marries the wrong woman. She like, so
it'd be Robin and Harper all over again.
Yeah, so I think like from a moral standpoint, from a etiquette standpoint, yes, it was wrong, right?
Yeah, I feel like anybody that goes to that length, you need to know that you gonna come out a winner, because
but I think that's what makes it even bigger. She didn't know that she was gonna come out a winner.
Clearly,
Q didn't even know that she was gonna come out a winner, right? Until he realized, like, oh damn, I'm actually about to lose her. Like, it was all good until he was like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I just think it if it was gonna be done, it it would not have lent itself to good TV. We wouldn't be talking about it if it was done the right way.
Yeah.
But in real life, if that is your thought, like, okay, my person is about to marry the wrong person, there's generally plenty of time from the time you find out and they're actually getting married for you to for you to say something.
So I do agree that it was selfish, but the question is this, like, when it comes to somebody that you with, do you want to share them with somebody else? Do you want someone else to have them, or do you want them? So I guess, is there a time to be selfish when it comes to who you believe is your person? And do you go after, like, shooters shoot?
Yeah, no. And I think in the case of women, right? So all of my exes are married. I mean, I was they all got married before me. But some
mine too, except for one. I don't know where she is though.
Yeah, But my thought process about it is like men generally propose. So no, if you felt so strongly about somebody else that you took money out of your bank account and went and bought a diamond, or you got your grandma ring, or whatever it is that you did, got on one knee and proposed to this chick, absolutely not. I don't care what I feel. Am I about to try to get you back? So that for me is the difference between, I mean, still for a woman to accept a proposal, I would assume a man feels the same way. Like, well, you said yes, so you don't want me either. But I just feel like, as much as y'all love y'all money, honey, if a man went out and bought a diamond and put it on the wrong woman's finger, that's between you and God. And
but we do it all the time.
Exactly. And so you gonna have to live with that.
But okay, so here's my stance on that. Men actually don't generally propose, women do, right? Men get down on one knee and ask the question, but who generally brings up the proposition of marriage? Women.
I ain't trying to be deep. I'm
not. No, I'm not even. No.
Marriage proposal. I know what you're gonna say.
Exactly.
That's not what I'm talking about.
No, but I'm saying, like, we like to think that because a man bought a ring and got on one knee and say, "Will you marry me?" that he's the one that asked the question, and he's not. He's generally agreeing to something that she brought up a while ago in fear of losing her. A lot of men do that. You see what I'm saying? So it's like she done gave him a timeline, an ultimatum. The what are we doing? I'm not finna be no girlfriend for umpteen years, whatever it is, right? And so it's like, I got a choice to make right now. Some men do it because, all right, I mean, we've been together this long, like, why not? You see what I'm saying? And so Harper said that in his opening line. He said some people get married because it's time. Right? Like, that's a lot of men getting married because it's time. It's like, all right, I'm this age, I've done this, I might as well go ahead and settle down, right? And then they pick the nearest woman available in their life, you know. And so to that end, it's like, nah, it's like, yeah, I know you bought her a ring, but you also rich, so buying that ring, that's whatever. You see what I'm saying? And technically, he didn't buy her no ring. They got him tatted. So
right, that's what I mean.
You know,
I'm not one to one.
Right. So, but what I mean is, yeah. But so I get what you're saying, and in the average Joe's world, you know, paying for a ring would be whatever. But all of these characters are well-to-do, right? All of these characters, they ain't hurting for money, you know. So that ring is whatever. She didn't give a shit about that. Like, Shelby could have, like, here's the money for the ring that he bought you, baby. But I'm taking his man, whatever.
I mean, she did what was best for her, and I feel like if you
what was best for him, apparently, right. Because
if you go to those lengths, God bless you. I just don't know that will work in, you know, and also it worked in her favor because Xiomara Amani, did she have family? Where were her people? Because Shelby would have caught the beat down if it was my family and friends.
Well, there's a lot of people. You notice, like, people's spouses typically don't have family or friends. Like, we don't see none of Candace's people. We don't see none of Robin's people. Yeah, we don't see Xiomara's people. At their wedding, like, literally none of her people was there. Yeah. But I will say this. Somebody that I know very well once told me, like, before they got married, that the spirit was screaming to him not to marry.
I have a friend like that, too.
Like, you know, married her anyway. But was screaming not to marry this woman. And I just told you who it was.
Yeah.
Right. Now imagine that. Right. Yeah. And so like that kind of transparency.
But it takes so much, like, just to be in the moment. Because, like, I know someone who did that too, right? Like, can you imagine having to be like, no, I mean, that day, any other day, yesterday, last month.
Let me ask you, so what would you do if you were Shelby, though? Like, let's say take out the you popped up whatever, right? Like you didn't do that, but let's just say hashtag boo was actually going to marry somebody else, realized it was you all along, and then came like chased you down in the airport, like you happened to be in town or whatever, and you about to leave, and he was like, "It ain't her, it's you. I can't imagine who I would be without you. I'm on one knee. No, I'm on two knees. I love you." Like
The
the
Boys to
whole
Men
speech.
serenading in the background.
Got look
That
on
would
his
win me
knees
over.
in a linen suit in the airport. Like
Yeah, I think there's something to be said for the man or the person that's getting married making the decision. I just don't know that I would be the one trying to convince you to choose me over somebody that you've already chosen.
but did he? See,
As far
agreeing to
as we can
something.
see,
Well, let's say this.
yes.
Okay, so like,
The
okay, we
choice was made in that if she was not
right,
saying anything, it
but
would
his
have gone forward.
but
And
his
everybody had challenged him. He had been challenged multiple times. Again, this is good TV, so I get
yeah,
that.
I
But
get it.
like, it's
But
not like
his heart didn't choose her, is what I'm saying. Like, yeah,
I
okay, he
understand
brought
that,
the
but your heart ain't tap dancing around the outside. Your mouth is saying the words that we hear. Your body is doing the actions that we see. We're asking you, right? Your homeboy got you hemmed up. You cussed him out, right? Support
Mhm.
me. You know, the girl has come out there and made a fool out of herself.
But
Well,
it's
it
in the
looked
truth
like she had made
sometimes.
a fool out of herself. And you're like, this is who I'm going to marry. So like, I don't want to say a lesser person, but anybody else would have taken that and been like, okay, and
But
went
she
on with their
did.
life.
She did.
Exactly. So, but after all, no, oh hell no, no. I'm with the, I'm just with the hell no. If I had gotten to the airport, I am on the plane.
Mm. And you
Now,
gonna
show me something by leaving her jilted and get on the plane and follow me now, so I know it's real.
but
I'm not going.
I got a whole wedding
No,
set up.
no. I'm not getting married at somebody else's wedding. Oh, you got to be kidding me. So the little matchbooks say Q it, no, it say Q Amora. They don't even do matchbooks no more. But they,
uh,
we got pictures of her and all the napkins and stuff say Q Amora, and I'm sitting there
but you got the
with a
man
color
though.
palette I didn't even ask
At the
for.
end of
No,
the look, at the end of the day, didn't you get what's most important?
I guess she can say so. I guess you can say so. I'm like the fact that you got married without your kid. Like it was a lot of stuff that I didn't like, and I don't even know if we got time to get into the whole why she didn't tell him that was her kid. Like that
Probably
was
image.
just that was now that I was just like, sure. And though I knew that, I think we all figured like this kid is around about the age could
Wait,
be
put that back up.
Q's kid. So if you did a flip flop at the
Trust
altar,
who?
the person that flip flopped at the altar. So if Q like could we trust you after you left old girl at the altar? At least that's how I'm reading the comment. And so I don't trust none of these characters, matter of fact. But God bless them. God bless all of them. I don't trust none of them. But yeah, that got on me. I mean, that got on me. That made me feel a way that I was just like, oh, this is your daughter. And then he was just like caught in the moment. They FaceTime the girl, and then it's like, okay, let's blend our lives. But like, I wanted him to let her have it. Maybe on your wedding day is
I
not the
mean,
day you want to do that, but like, I thought
yeah,
that
that was
was because
foul.
there's opportunity. It's not like she lived in Ghana. He could have been in that kid's life, even if they weren't together.
Mhm.
Boo.
I
Boo.
think
Tomato, tomato, tomato.
maybe Candace was probably the only one that I can't remember doing something foul. The rest of them kept doing something foul.
Yeah.
But it'll be what it is. So
It
what
is.
we can put a bow on it. We always get real deep in this
I
conversation
know.
because
I know.
it's so
I know.
but so final thoughts for you this week. We done talked about so much.
I know. Final thoughts, like, I miss my friends sometimes, right? Like I have phenomenal friends and relationships, and I think we do very well keeping in contact, and Zoom and whatever things that we can do, the phone and Voxer for some of us. But like watching this, I really made me miss like the times that I would just be hanging with the homies. And we don't even have anything in particular to do. It's just we knew on Friday, or you knew on this day, or this certain time, holidays, whatever, that you'll be together. And so it just reminds me of friendship and the importance thereof. My friends didn't couple up and group up and marry up like that, but I will say those of us that are in relationships or married, we have indoctrinated our spouses and significant others, and so there's no issue. They're not as close as, like I said, this group. They're not calling each other. It reminds me of This Is Us, where all the folks that married into the family had a group chat and all of that kind of stuff. I thought that was so cute. You don't watch This Is Us? But anyway, that's over. This Is Us is over at this point. But
no, because every time I saw something about This Is Us, somebody was always crying. I was like, why would I put myself through that?
Very emotional. But I didn't cry. I cried a lot in the first season, but after that, I was okay, even though things continued to happen. But yeah, just miss the importance of friendship, and how it just elevates your life. Your friends, your personal relationships, marriages, all of those things. Like it really just puts the icing on top. If you can have a great life, but it is very nice to have people that you can depend on, that you can bounce things off of. As you mentioned, like all the characters, extremely intelligent, well-to-do, all of that. And I think they would have made their way in the world regardless. But the fact that they created that bond early on in college, and shout out to all of the people that I met at SC and through my SC experience, like those literally. And they say you meet your friends for life.
My condolences to the Trojans.
I'm glad I didn't watch that. I was in the wind. But it's true that you meet your friends for life, in college, and you cement those relationships, and they really are a blessing. Even my husband, I didn't know, #boo, I didn't know that we went back as far as we did. We have connections even back in the high school. But it was in the time of college that we came into each other's orbit. And even though, we was off doing whatever, it came back around. And so that was a blessing as well. So yeah, shout out to friendship, shout out to relationships.
Hashtag boo was around in my Lance phase.
Oh yeah, he speaks of that. I was like, long as you didn't have no Lance phase, let Barzini do what he does.
Yeah. My final thoughts. I echo like the friendship sentiment. It's just so important to have people that love you. Even when it doesn't feel like it sometimes. I think at the moment that you most need people, like your real friends, they're there. Because this life thing can get hard to navigate sometimes, and I think yeah, I just think that you're not always going to get it right, and it's good to have people around you that can let you know when you're not getting it right, or love you through not getting it right. That you can have those honest and transparent conversations with, that you can laugh with, cry with, and everything else. Especially among men, I think it's really just taboo to be able to be as close as these characters were. I do have a healthy circle. I don't get to see them all the time because they all got families and stuff like that. But when we do get together, it's always a good time, and we do have those type of conversations where we can be honest, and we don't have to put on a face or the extra machismo. It's just what it is, just like hearing one of my boys just talk about how he didn't know what he was doing as a husband. like, and having to be, like I don't know what I'm doing, you know.
Shout out
So
to that. I mean, being honest
yeah,
and having
so
be able to land that somewhere.
yeah, so
Because
yeah,
honestly, look, it's more people walking around trying to figure it out. At least you're trying,
yeah,
Some folks is just like, yeah.
yeah, but sometimes it's like in life in general, just even outside of marriage. I know there are people that send me messages and stuff like that, and think I got it going on. Y'all, I'm guessing. I'm gonna be honest, like I'll be out here guessing, and I talk to Dre like a lot, like, hey, sometimes you just throw noodles at the wall and you roll with whatever one sticks, you know. Um, so yeah, it's a learning experience, but can you be open and vulnerable and fail forward and just all the buzzwords and cliches and everything else, but just getting to a place to where you can live your honest, authentic self.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and people still love you for it. Have people that'll still love you for it is the major thing. But that being said, y'all, this has been another episode of the Crossroads. We wish y'all the happiest of New Year's. Shout
And
out to
happy birthday to
2023.
you.
Happy birthday to Dre. You know what I'm saying? She about to
Shout
hit
out to all
54.
the Capricorns. It's goat
and
season.
and
Oh,
Cap
go ahead. I'm sorry.
and Cap Aquariuses.
Oh, yes. Yes. Y'all too. Y'all too. Shout out to January babies. We love
Yeah,
you.
all of them, all
Because
of
we
them.
are January babies. So
Right.
yes, if you follow me on the Insta or Twitter or where else, I love to hear from you on
Yeah.
Friday. Friday's the day.
Yeah, and also y'all follow the Crossroads on Instagram. It's at the
Oh
Crossroads,
yeah, how about that?
right? And then you can follow,
Thank
yeah,
you.
follow both of us. And I also have a new video journal series that I've released this week called Tough Conversations. So check that out on IG at Barzini Speaks. All right. So that being said, y'all, until next week, we love y'all. We appreciate y'all. And as always, remember, be
Be
free
free
to be
to
you.
be you.
We love
Bye,
y'all.
you guys. Take care.